From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
Welcome to U.S. Farm Report. I'm Tyne Morgan, and here's what we're working on for you over the next 60 minutes. USDA dropped a bomb in the soybean market this week, shooting prices higher.
I'd be a little bit surprised, I guess, if we can get to the $11 mark in new crop beans.
We'll show you why the report was so favorable for prices and tell you where we go from here. The harder you work, the faster you grow.
When you're given something, you just don't appreciate it as much as if you have to pay for it.
Our Farm Journal report introduces you to a dairy producer who's been turning obstacles into opportunity his entire life. More delays in the eastern corn belt as Mother Nature refuses to cooperate.
I'll let you know if we see any change in this wet, chilly weather pattern coming up in weather.
And in John's world,
I've got good news and bad news about food and people.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by the dependable, long-lasting Chevy Silverado.
Now for the news that moved the markets this week. USDA's May report shocked the trade, shooting soybean prices to near a 21-month high, carrying corn and wheat along with it. The big surprise came on the soybean side of the ledger, with USDA projecting soybean inventories to fall an astonishing 24%. That sent soybean prices to end the day Tuesday up 5.6% at $10.84 a bushel. That's a 25% increase just this year. Now taking a look at the market mover, USDA giving us our first glimpse at ending stocks this year. USDA pegs soy stocks at 305 million bushels, and for corn, USDA projecting stocks at 2.1 billion bushels, also under expectations. So where do we go from here? Pro Farmer's Brian Grady gives his thoughts.
I'd be a little bit surprised, I guess, if we can get to the $11 mark in new crop beans and sustain trade at that level. I think that there's probably going to be enough selling come into the marketplace at that point in time that it's going to be really hard, and we're going to need some additional support.
Grady says if we can move past $11 and remain there for a couple weeks, that signals some staying power for higher prices. Brazil's President Dilma Rousseff is nearing impeachment. The Senate voted to impeach and suspend her after an all-night session lasting 20 hours this week. Rousseff is accused of illegally manipulating finances to hide growing public deficit before her re-election in 2014. But the ousted president was defiant after this week's vote, saying this isn't an impeachment, but a true coup. She still faces trial, which could last 6 months. Senator Chuck Grassley says consolidation in the livestock industry is forcing him to take action. The Iowa senator introducing legislation this week to ban packer ownership of livestock. He says independent producers don't have many choices on where to buy or sell their cattle, citing packing plants in West Texas and Denison, Iowa closing. The world's largest meat packer is showing a steep cut in first quarter earnings from falling North American revenue. And now JBS says the company is spinning off its international business into a new company based in Ireland called JBS Foods International. It's also exploring making it a publicly traded company, listing it on the New York Stock Exchange. The entire operation still must gain approval from shareholders and regulators. Brazilian-based meat packer JBS reported a $795 million net loss in its Q1 earnings this week. The U.S. Cattlemen's Association, following RCAF USA's lead, also asking Congress to investigate beef prices. The association says a combination of algorithmic trading and anti-competitive buying practices, among other industry concerns, are manipulating prices. Just last month, the Senate Judiciary Committee asked the Government Accountability Office to open a formal investigation on the matter. More Americans are buying cheese at the store, but it's not helping eat through the large inventories in the country. Packaged Facts shows retail cheese sales growing to $17 billion last year. But Dairy Herd Management Editor Jim Dickrell says an excess amount of cheese is causing a major inventory backlog. Dickrell says inventories are reaching levels we haven't seen since the 1980s, when the government stockpiled inventory to help with the surplus.
Milk production is up tremendously here. And also in Europe, and we've also got the Chinese buying less dairy products, and we have a trade embargo going on in the Soviet Union. So all of that means is that inventory is backing up here in the United States, and even in Europe, they're seeing large inventory increases as well.
Dickrell says it will take an increase in domestic demand to chew through the backlog of product. Well, more planting delays in the eastern Corn Belt this week. So, Mike, how's next week shaping up?
Time for most areas, unfortunately, I just don't. At least another week, it looks like, of a fairly wet weather pattern. But as we head through the end of May, we do expect a drier weather pattern to settle in. Now, it has become a little drier on our drought monitor for the southern Appalachians, northern portions of Georgia, some of the eastern Tennessee Valley, and a few spots in southern Missouri. Still very dry out west, obviously, even though things have improved. But let's go back a month. You can see how it was dry off to the west, and things have been improving there, but they've been getting a little drier then, southern Appalachians especially, that area right there, as you can see. Now, let's check the weather maps this week, day by day. Storm system moving through eastern Texas. Fair amount of rain, it looks like, southern Mississippi Valley, southern portions of the plains. Some showers back into the central portions of the Rockies, even some snow in the higher elevations. And you can see some showers and thunderstorms into parts of the southeast. Chillier air for much of the Corn Belt, at least to start the week, with a lingering storm system along the northeastern seaboard. As we head toward Wednesday then, the first system moves off the mid-Atlantic coast. The system from the west moves into the Midwest, and the system offshore moves to the west. So a progression of storm systems coming eastward, so you can see some areas of rain showers there through the middle of the country. Now, the good thing is this system may not be quite as wet as some of the ones that we've seen recently, but by Friday, we do expect that system to be moving on through the Ohio Valley with some showers and thunderstorms down into the southern portions of the Mississippi. Back in our next half hour with a longer range outlook.
Thanks, Mike. We have much more to talk about with the markets this week, including how likely it is that soybeans can break $11. We'll do that with Mark Gold and Bob Utterback next.
U.S. Farm Report, brought to you by Case IH. Be ready next harvest season with an axial flow combine from Case IH.
Thanks for coming today.
How you doing?
Well, today's going to be pretty easy. I want each of you to grab a 2x8 and cut it. You'll have two saws to choose from, a power saw or a hand saw. So which saw did you use?
Power saw. Power saw.
Power saw. You all chose the most powerful tool. Wouldn't it make sense to make the same choice when it comes to your truck?
Absolutely.
This is the 2016 Chevy Silverado. It offers the most powerful engine in its class.
Awesome. I'd say it's the best tool for the job. Right on.
Take a look inside any rotary combine, and you'll find single rotor technology. Technology Case IH introduced over 35 years ago with the axial flow combine. But unless it gives you more bells and whistles with fewer belts and chains, more power using less fuel, it's not an axial flow. Because while the heart of every rotary combine beats red, only Case IH gives you the power to do more.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now's the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. Well, definitely a busy week in the markets this week. Let's start off by talking about this USDA report. Had some huge changes to ending stocks with soybeans. Bob, did we get that on the supply side, or is that more of a demand factor?
It's more the demand. And it was, some people were talking about back in March, but I was one of the guys that didn't really buy into it. But it was the demand of China's increased usage and Argentina's reduced crop dovetail with a weak dollar. The USDA pushed it up here to 1.8 plus. And I would say off the record, there are already people now trying to talk 2 billion bushel exports. But here again, the burden of proof from here on now is the bulls got the demand argument. Yeah. Now can they prove it? And just last week, the exports in beans weren't up to snuff. And now already the market's starting to say, Well, you got to project it. Now you got to prove the case, and that's going to be the problem for the beans.
Mark, this week this report did push beans up towards the $11 mark. Do you think this big of a rally in one day, did we overdo it?
Yeah, I think we've overdone it considerably in here. The report was certainly friendly. I agree with Bob. Are we going to increase exports 175 million? I doubt it. We can't even export anything right now, and we've got the dollar on a 2 or 3 cent rally here. So I don't see that it's going to last. But the fact of the matter is we've had this bump in the market. The funds are now long probably 225,000 contracts of beans. As I've said so many times, we want to take advantage of the funds before they take advantage of us. If anything shakes this market out, those funds are coming back out of this market. This is a great time period to be selling beans, buying puts, protect this downside. If we start closing higher next week and take out this week's highs, then maybe we've got something going. But I'm a betting man, and I'll bet that these highs hold here maybe until the end of June, till we get the next acreage report.
So do you think we can make it past the $11 mark in beans?
It's really going to take, I think, I agree with Mark in reference, it's more into the post 4th of July, August dry weather scare. Now, and I would argue, same thing going into Memorial Day weekend. In the next 3 weeks, if you're short the bean market and you got in the market, I think you need to think about form. I think you need to go from a short futures to a long put, some type of limited floor strategy, because of volatility. If they could dovetail with any weather, they could really rip our head off short term, even though you fundamentally can't justify it. So I just wouldn't be short this bean market in a futures a hedger in the month of June and early July. I just wouldn't touch it that way.
And I'd also say that also includes being short calls to pay for puts. As they found out in the last 6 weeks, it can knock your socks off and cost you a lot more money than you ever dreamed possible. So don't be selling calls to buy puts. Just spend the money, put that floor in, and if we get something this summer, great. If we don't, you'll be well protected at these. We've had a $2.32 rally in the beans. The Fibonacci number is 233. We came within a penny of hitting that Fibonacci retracement. That's pretty impressive, and they haven't been able to take it out since we approached it on Tuesday. So again, if we close lower today, I think it's an indication that we've seen our highs here at least until the end of June.
Bob, when we look at the corn market, we saw a little bit of a surprise too. Was it the report that impacted prices this week, or was it just the fact that soybeans shot up so much it did carry the corn price with it?
I think it was more the beans pulled, but I think you got some guys that have been long beans, short corn spreaders, and I think a play that will start developing is the argument some corn acres will drift over into beans, and so guys would like to be long corn, short beans. I think that spread will gain some excitement. You saw the corn market in the back end actually stronger than the front end for 1 or 2 days. And so I think there's a spread activity, but the point is 2.1 billion bushel carryover is not bullish. You've got to get that carryover below 1.415, so you've got to reduce at least 2 or 3 million acres, and you got to get trend line down, and you got to get demand up. So the corn bull's got a much, much harder argument than the bean bull.
But Mark, it does seem like we have the perfect storm right now to plant more beans, considering we're getting late in the Eastern Corn Belt, plus this rally.
Well, I've been saying that we had to get the corn-soybean ratio up close to 3. We got it to almost 2.8 here on this rally, and that certainly enticed, I think, a lot of guys to start looking at these beans. I think the rally yesterday in the corn market, we had an 11-cent rally. I think it's corn just saying, hey, don't forget about us, guys. We're still here. We still want to get the corn in the Eastern Corn Belt, but we are going to lose, in my opinion, corn acres to beans.
Yeah, and real quick, Bob, Chris Hurt from Purdue, he came out and said you're going to make considerably more money planting beans this year. What was his number that he came out with?
Well, remember back in January, February, it was the other way around.
Right.
Corn was making more beans, and it's probably about $150 an acre shift. So I think the economic incentive for the guys at this point is to shift from corn to beans, especially the eastern. But the problem with Ohio farmers is they need corn for all that livestock over there. So they're not terribly excited. So that's going to be the battle.
Okay, we also have a battle to talk about in Brazil with Dilma Rousseff. How will that impact our markets? We're going to talk about that next on U.S. Farm Report.
Miss any of today's show? Head to usfarmreport.com to watch the program online. U.S. Farm Report. Trusted. Timely. Tradition.
We're always up for a new challenge. We take pride in every project and every square foot. With Kubota's full lineup of subcompact and compact tractors, we tear down, build up, and create landscapes. We plant, grow, and harvest. We are Kubota. This is what we do.
Every successful grower knows that the best crops need strong roots, and that means they need Radiate Plant Growth Regulator. Radiate features 2 powerful active ingredients that help young crops quickly develop the longer, healthier roots they need for more nutrient uptake, early vigor, and stress resistance. Applied either foliar or in furrow, Radiate makes all the difference for a wide variety of crops. So get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. See your CPS dealer today.
Introducing the all-new DR Leaf and Lawn Vacuum, now at our lowest price ever. The DR cleans up acres of leaves and grass while you mow. In the spring, collect dead grass, wet leaves, and twigs from storm damage. Come summer, the DR makes a great high-capacity bagger, and in the fall, turns days of raking into a drive in the park. When it's time to unload, nothing could be easier. Look, just one hand. Plus, with the collector top removed, you've got a rugged utility cart that's great for all kinds of hauling chores. The DR is the most powerful, most versatile lawn machine you can buy.
Call 1-800-460-3185 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can own a DR for as low as $37 a month and get a 6-month product trial. Free shipping is now in effect, so call 1-800-460-3185. Online at drleafvac.com.
All right, before we talk about the international impact on these markets, Bob, wheat, we've had some questions about wheat. We did see a price increase after the report. Was it just soybeans pulling that crop up too? Because it doesn't seem like there's a real reason for this rally.
The biggest reason, when you got into numbers, is that China's got 21% of the world's reserve stocks. And while world wheat stocks are up, the amount of world free stocks are down. And I think that was a short-term surprise to the marketplace. And technically, you got a triple bottom on the charts. So I think you got some technical traders trying to bottom pick. But if the wheat cannot break out to the downside on seasonal pressure into fall, that's going to go a long ways to put some pressure on from the corn and beans. But I think wheat should fundamentally break out to the downside. I would if I got wheat to produce, I would not be storing it. I would get it sold and in a more of a put format or sell the cash and have a strategy buy call if it breaks out. But I would be careful with wheat.
I would say that the one thing the funds are short is the wheat. They've been short 60, 70,000 contracts a week. Because of this triple bottom and the way the market's been acting, we might get the funds to cover this stuff. Let me tell you guys, if you can get the funds to cover 60,000 wheat here, and we can get a 30 or 40 cent rally with these world carryouts, you want to be taking advantage of it by buying a put, selling some grain, buy a call, do something out there. But you want to take advantage of it if the funds come out.
Mark, big news this week with Dilma Rousseff, Senate voting to impeach and suspend her. Meanwhile, we're seeing a big recession down in Brazil. What type of impact does that have on us, especially considering the real? Well,
I think the dollar is going to stay relatively strong. We bottomed out right when we should have at the end of the month, the last Friday of the month. We had a 3-cent bounce since then. I think the dollar is going to stay relatively strong. I think the bigger impact in South America isn't so much the internal political situation in Brazil. They've got a mess down there between that and the Olympics and everything else that's going on. We did see the Argentinian crops reduced somewhat. I think that's more of an indicator of what's going to affect our bean market is the Argentinian crops.
You mentioned the U.S. dollar. Do you think that we do trend lower?
I think there's risk, but I think the biggest pressure, the dollar is not going to take off and go back to where last December's highs. I think we'll stay up below this 95 level, and we could go back and double bottom in later in the season. And that's going to keep the Fed from raising interest rates. So that's the real, and it's going to it's going to support the export market. That's the argument of the bulls. I'm not really super bullish the dollar. I'm more lean toward negative, just because I think that's going to be politically, that's what everybody really wants right now.
What level does the dollar have to get to before the Fed does decide to do a rate hike this year, do you think, Mark?
I'm not, they claim it's not a dollar issue, and I don't think it should be. I think they're going to take a look at some of the real economy factors and where we're at and make a decision. There was one article today, one of the Fed presidents said that expect interest rates to move higher than we would expect. Other guys are saying there's no need to raise interest rates. So this battle in the Fed still is ongoing, and I think it's a 50-50 shot, frankly.
Real quick, Bob.
Back on South America, I think the biggest impact with the world economy down there is that they could have some labor strife, which could port and transportation bottlenecks, which would have to move some grain up to it. That's probably the biggest impact it would have if they get into transportation bottleneck problems.
All right, we need to get their closing thoughts. We'll do that when we come back on U.S. Farm Report.
U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by the BV Series Round Baler from Kubota. For Earth, for life.
Imagine a lawn vacuum powerful enough to clear the largest lawns, clean as a carpet, and compact enough to hang right on the wall. Hitching a cyclone rake to your riding mower gives you 10 times the lifting power and many times the debris capacity of mowers alone. It cuts overgrown summer lawns down to size in a fraction of the time. When autumn comes, clear the heaviest leaf cover with sitting down ease. Try the Cyclone Rake risk-free for a full year. To learn more, visit CycloneRake.com for your free information kit.
New in 2016, the Tomorrow's Top Producer Conference will span 2 days and be held in Nashville, Tennessee. Join us June 16th and 17th with speakers on topics including marketing, risk management, negotiation tips, and succession planning. This event will help young farmers master the skills needed to be successful in today's farming landscape. Speakers include Walt Coleman, NFL referee and Highland Dairy Controller, Mo Russell, Russell Consulting, Brent Olkey, Innovis Agra, and more. Visit tomorrowstopproducer.com for the full agenda and registration information.
Are you paying too much for your cable or satellite TV? The U.S. government passed a bill mandating free over-the-air digital transmission of all broadcast network television channels. That means with the new TV Freeway digital antenna, you can get free HD programming from your favorite broadcast networks 24/7 without a bill. You just plug it into the back of your TV and start watching all of your favorite broadcast programs for free. There are no contracts to sign, no hidden fees, and no monthly fees. Just free HD broadcast TV. Take it with you anywhere. Call or go online now to get your TV Freeway stick for the incredibly low price of only $14.99. But wait, call or click now and you can get a second TV Freeway stick for a second TV. Just pay a separate fee, but you have to order right now.
Call 1-800-316-1198 to get your TV Freeway. Call now or go to tvfreeway.com. So call 1-800-316-1198. Call now.
All right, time now for the closing thoughts. Bob Utterback, let's start with you.
Form, how you're short. As a producer, we produce the crop. It's our responsibility to get rid of it. We're coming into the bull's home territory when he could rally the market if he gets weather and dollar. So if your markets reach your target prices, you've got to have a floor and have the ability to react to the higher prices. Being short futures or short calls right now is extremely dangerous.
Good advice. Mark?
I've been saying that for the last 4 or 5 months, all winter long, that we're going to have at least one opportunity to market grain at profitable levels. Well, we just got a great $2.30 gift, partially because of the funds, partially because of everything going on in the world. Take advantage of it. Get some new crop beans sold up here. If we take out this week's highs, buy some calls to back it up, but do something on a $2.30 rally.
Thank you both for being here. I appreciate it. Please stay with us. We'll be back with more U.S. Farm Report in just a moment.
This is Machinery Pete, inviting you to check out my new website, machinerypete.com. Offering farmers tens of thousands of used equipment listings to search, let Machinery Pete help you find and value your next piece of used equipment.
Once you cut a tree down, what do you do about the stump?
Grind it down with a DR Stump Grinder, the fast, easy, and affordable solution for stump removal. Thanks to the power of a world-class engine and carbide-tipped cutting teeth, the DR Stump Grinder tackles any size stump. With each pass, these teeth quickly shave the stump down, taking a remarkable 360 bites per second. In no time, the stump is completely gone. All that's left behind is a pile of wood chips. Get behind the power of a DR Stump Grinder to rid your property of tree stumps forever.
Call 1-800-515-4765 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. Learn how you can try a DR stump grinder for 6 months. With our special financing plan, you can own a DR for as low as $42 a month. Plus, get free shipping if you call now. 1-800-515-4765. Online at drstumpgrinder.com.
Join Drovers and Dr. Dan Thompson for our second annual Cow-Calf Cowboy College on June 20th and 21st in West Des Moines, Iowa. This 2-day seminar, led by respected and knowledgeable industry experts, is filled with timely information for cow-calf operators. Topics include animal health and treatment programs, low-stress animal handling, nutrition, and genetic selection for your herd. Attendance will also qualify you as BQA certified. For more information, visit droverscowboycollege.com.
Recent medical studies have shown that the use of talcum powder can cause ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with ovarian cancer after using talcum powder, call right now. You may be owed significant compensation from the manufacturer. Call right now to determine if you may qualify. If we don't win, there is no fee. There are time deadlines to file a claim, so don't wait.
Call 1-800-842-1969. Again, that's 1-800-842-1969.
John joins us from the farm to talk about an interesting development when it comes to cheap food. John?
Last month, the British medical journal Lancet announced a rather confusing milestone for the human race. We now have more people in the world who are obese than underweight. I have been following the remarkable progress we've been making to reduce the number of people living in extreme poverty, and there's really good news there. But this comparison, frankly, took me back a little bit. It's fair to quibble about whether the body mass index, the BMI, is the best tool to measure obesity, or where to draw the line between normal and under or overweight. But as you can clearly see, the trend is unmistakable. Now, besides making us all cringe slightly more when we step on the scales, information like this impacts and will continue to shape agriculture around the world in a big way. When people get upset over their weight, the first thing they usually do is look at their diet, or it's the first thing their doctor tells them to do. But in the process, food becomes, if not an enemy, a threat of some sort. This change in attitude about food also works through the supply chain to food providers. Fair or not, some will attach blame to those who put the food in front of them, including us farmers. Sometimes this will show up as outright liability claims for specific foods as harmful. This has been the case for high fructose corn syrup, for example. Now, I've talked before about how difficult it is to do nutrition research accurately, and concern about obesity and this research problem means it will be hard for farmers to defend their work from an increasingly anxious public and medical profession. Obesity is reshaping our economies as well, with increasing resources being devoted to combating diabetes and other weight-related disease. It's not just appearance that's driving these attitudes, it's dollars and cents as well. The bottom line for farmers who are weary of being accused of being part of the obesity problem is, I don't see much relief from such pushback. My son will likely spend his entire career working to respond to changing attitudes about food. The difference is, while my generation could always fall back on cheap and plentiful food as proof of our good work, in the new world of obesity, those attributes may not be the virtues consumers want.
Very true, John. Thanks so much. Well, when we come back, falling milk prices aren't scaring one dairy farmer away from pushing the envelope to not only survive, but thrive. That's our Farm Journal report next.
U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast. From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
We have much more ahead this weekend on U.S. Farm Report over the next 30 minutes. We're off to New Mexico to see how one dairy farmer is turning obstacles into opportunity. He's Farm Journal's Milk May cover story and also our Farm Journal report. In customer support, John covers WOTUS again, and we're headed out west for a little Baxter Black. Now for the headlines, a massive fire at an ag fertilizer plant in Texas wasn't an accident. Officials announcing just this week that they determined the fatal explosion was a criminal act and it was intentionally set. The blast devastated the small Texas town of West in April 2013. 15 people died, 12 of them were firefighters. On Wednesday, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms announced the fire, which led to the explosion, was set on purpose. Agents say all accidental and natural fire scenarios were tested and ruled out.
What I can tell you is that while there has not been any arrest made, the 400 plus interviews that have been conducted to date have produced many leads. As many of you know, this investigation is very complex with many moving parts.
Now the agency's Houston office is offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the person or people responsible. A softening farm economy continued to impact land values and cash rents. In the Kansas City district, cash rents dropped 10% from a year earlier. The Fed office says the sharp drop is the largest annual decline in ranchland cash rents since the fall of 2009. The loss corresponds with a 30% drop in feeder cattle prices. And to the east, the Chicago Fed says farmland values saw the biggest year-over-year drop since 2009. Overall values in portions of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan fell 4% in just the first quarter, and the amount of land up for sale also declined. Cash rents plummeting 10% in that same area. And in the St. Louis district, covering the southern Corn Belt and Mid-South, bankers reported the steepest quarterly loss for farmland values in all of its reporting history. The St. Louis branch shows quality farmland values plunging an average 6.5% from year-ago levels. Cash rents for quality farmland fell more than 7%. Kubota announcing this week it's purchasing Great Plains Manufacturing. Great Plains is based in Salina, Kansas, with multiple facilities scattered across the state. Kubota says the initial plan is to not make any operational changes to the 5 Great Plains divisions, and infrastructure will also remain intact. Monsanto possibly buying Syngenta made headlines last year, but now Monsanto seems to be the one that's highly sought after. Monsanto's shares jumped 12% on Thursday due to rumors of a possible buyout by either Bayer or BASF. According to MarketWatch, German-based BASF is working with investment banks to advise on a potential takeover of Monsanto. Bloomberg also reporting that Bayer is exploring a potential bid for Monsanto. That acquisition would create the world's largest supplier of seeds and farm chemicals. Meanwhile, Monsanto may pull its biotech soybeans from Argentina. The Wall Street Journal reporting the dispute is over Monsanto collecting proper seed royalties in the country. Monsanto has been in talks with Argentina's government over a royalty collection plan. Monsanto says that plan is necessary to recoup investment on its biotech soybeans engineered to be resistant to destructive worms. Monsanto started marketing the product about 2 years ago. Looks like we could see another shakeup in agriculture. All right, that's it for the news. Meteorologist Mike Hoffman joins us for the longer range forecast. Mike, you keep talking about this warmer weather, or hinting at it at least, but these shots of cold air just keep coming back.
I know, Tyne, they really do, and they've been coming along with some rain as well, as most folks know. You can see as we start the jet stream early this week, we're going to see the trough off the northeast coast, still a trough back through the Great Lakes. Very cold air for this time of the year. As we put things into motion then, you can see that kind of lingers, so it stays chilly for the Great Lakes northeast as we head through the middle of the week. Some warmer weather in the southeast. Another trough moving through the middle of the country will produce some more rain in some of those areas. As we head through the end of the week then, you can see we start to get a little bit of a ridge by Friday into the Plains states, with another trough moving in out west, and then that digs in out west. And so as we head through next weekend, it actually looks like a pretty good warming trend for most of the plains, most of the Ohio Valley. 30-day outlook for temperatures above normal. The eastern seaboard, Great Lakes below normal through the western plains, eastern Rockies. 30-day outlook for precipitation still looks above normal. Southeast, central and southern plains southward, below normal. Northern Great Lakes toward the north. Tyne?
Thanks so much, Mike. Well, last month we started partnering with our friends over at Farm Journal's Milk Magazine to profile some of the most progressive dairy farmers in the country. Today, we're off to Clovis, New Mexico to meet a dairyman who isn't afraid of change. Art Scopp is this month's Farm Journal's Milk cover story, showing how he's breaking the mold in the dairy industry to survive such challenging times.
Just become the most efficient as possible. Okay.
For Art Scott and his son Ryan,
Hey, Jorge. How's everything going today?
farming in the arid climate of Clovis, New Mexico comes with its own set of challenges. Water, regulations, and fading milk prices are just to name a few.
In 2017, I feel like we're going to be able to make some good money again.
With 2 conventional dairies and 1 organic milking 4,500 cows total, he says the only way to survive this bump in the road is to get rid of the debt. That focus is something Scott learned from his dad.
When you're given something, you just don't appreciate it as much as if you have to pay for it.
Scott's dad didn't give him any cows. Instead, he let Art find smaller dairies in the area to buy and build from there.
The harder you worked, then the more you're able to grow.
While Scott's roots run deep here in New Mexico, the family transplanted to the area nearly 40 years ago.
We chose New Mexico because it was an arid climate like California, and we were able to have open lots.
Scott says it was the right move for the family at the time, but for those looking to relocate, the grass isn't always greener somewhere else.
I would not chase the milk price because the milk price is going to change. When we came to New Mexico, we were probably getting $2 more than Wisconsin. And then Wisconsin got $2 more than we got, and now I think we're back level with them. No matter where you live, you have an opportunity, and you got to look for it.
Pushing the envelope is what Scott does best.
The dairy farmers are like the shock absorber in this market. We either make money or we're losing money, and so we're trying to change our model from being in industries like organic or the processing business to where we can actually go to the consumer, because the closer you get to the consumer, the more money you're going to make.
Challenging traditional parts of the dairy industry is also where he thrives, and one reason he shifted a dairy to organic production in 2008.
You have contracts with organic, and that's one thing where the conventional can learn from organics. You have contracts, you only deliver to the market what it wants. You don't over-deliver.
But limited demand from his main buyer, Organic Valley, means that Scott had milk left over from his organic dairy. So he approached a local cheese plant, hoping to sell there.
And then they told me, if you want us to make cheese for you, you need to buy into our company. So I did. I bought into the company 50%.
And now Organic Valley buys all of Scott's milk. He says that's exactly what he wanted in the first place.
Selling the cheese is a whole lot harder than making the cheese. And marketing is very important. Come on, girls.
One challenge with milking organic cows in this area is finding enough feed, especially considering the restraints on wells, water production, and drought.
We've learned how to farm with about half the water than we used to have.
Scott uses solar panels to pump water to lagoons during the day, then he lets it set at night to fill back up. While he overcame the drought, that hasn't been the only weather challenge.
We've had snow, and we've had wind, and we've had, all those things happen, but we've never had them all together with 80-mile-an-hour winds.
The freak winter storm prevented the Scotts from shipping milk out for 48 hours, and it took 2 months to get the cows back to normal production and nearly 3 months to reach levels they saw before the storm hit. With a blizzard and low milk prices, some producers opt to cut quality of feed.
This time, we're going to do it different. We're going to feed better quality feed. We're going to try to get more milk, and even if we have to milk less cows, we'll do that, but make sure that every animal is producing to its full potential.
It's the pursuit of finding new ventures on a road where challenges become obstacles, not roadblocks, that's giving the Scotts a positive outlook for 2016.
I would say 15 was survival. I'm going to call 16 optimistic.
Now, another way Scott is unique is his ability to find different feed sources. During the drought, he used kochia weeds, more commonly known as tumbleweeds, as feed. He found that the output was competitive with alfalfa. Well, up next, John Phipps.
Tommy, I'm a little disappointed. The yields weren't there and the prices are low. We need to sell at a good price. What do you advise?
Hi, it's Tommy Grisafi, and I would like to visit you at your farm to discuss strategies and risk management solutions that best fit your farm's interests. Call me at 855-737-FARM, and I will personally visit you at your farm. Experience solid market advice right on the farm.
You've committed to doing all you can to increase your yields and grow your bottom line. like using Stratego Yield fungicide and its 2 modes of action for unbeatable control of the major foliar soybean diseases. You'll get an average yield increase of 3 to 4 bushels per acre. Healthier fields means higher yields. You're ready to profit from the season with Stratego Yield.
If you're age 85 or younger, call
800-285-8608.
to learn more about the senior care plan from Angel Care Insurance Services. The average funeral now costs over $7,000, but the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255, leaving your loved ones to pay your debt. The senior care plan will pay up to $30,000 for funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Your rates will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and your plan cannot be canceled. To receive free information about the senior care plan and its benefits, call the number on your screen now. Also receive information about a free prescription discount card by calling now. There's no obligation. Operators are standing by.
Call 800-285-8608. That's 800-285-8608.
Your call is very important to us. Please hold.
Well, apparently some of you aren't finished with the battle over WOTUS, and neither is John. So he's back with more this week. John?
Last week we went over the basics of the Clean Water Ruling, commonly known as the WOTUS Rule. This week we look at the controversy surrounding it. Agriculture is nearly unanimous in opposing the rule, largely on the basis of perceived and actual restrictions on what you can do on your farm and potential bureaucratic hassle. These are legitimate grievances, but only if the EPA believes those activities will impact the quality of water coming off your property. In their Ag Fact Sheet, the EPA states, quote, "The Clean Water Rule will not create any new permitting requirements and will not add economic burden on agriculture. The Clean Water Act itself requires permits only if water is going to be destroyed or polluted," end quote. Ag groups bluntly respond that the EPA is simply not telling the truth. The overwhelming resistance to this rule in ag also suggests there could be other reasons for opposition. For example, the CWR is an attractive issue for general farm organizations. Unlike farm bills or trade issues or immigration, which tend to pit different ag sectors against each other, this issue has been unifying, especially for the largest group, the American Farm Bureau Federation. The usefulness of the CWR as a common enemy diminishes the desire to compromise or even negotiate. Second, opposition to the CWR fits with a small government, minimal regulation political philosophy, which is popular with farmers. Finally, while this fight seems to be over property rights and government jurisdiction, it's really about pollution, which we have conveniently renamed nutrient runoff. I think farmers everywhere suspect or agree with experts who have identified farms as the major source of nitrogen and phosphorus in our rivers. Opposition to clear rules to address this problem may be an effort to preempt our liability for this pollution. Two key questions, I believe, should be addressed to resolve this dispute. First, should farmers be held accountable for the N&P that leaves their farms? If so, at what point? The farm, the state, the watershed, or where? Two, what should this rule of accountability say? We ask for clarification, so what would the right answer look like? To date, I have discovered no effort by opponents to offer an alternative rule or even any language, only refusal to accept the CWR. The linkage between nutrient runoff and the Clean Water Rule is obvious but unspoken, and to my mind, it is at the heart of the battle we call WOTUS.
Thanks, John, and remember you can send your questions or comments to him via email or Facebook and Twitter. Up next, we get a visit from Baxter Black. Please stay with us.
The new DR trimmer mowers are here, and they're better than ever. The walk-behind DRs feature world-class engines and easy rolling wheels that let you trim along buildings, decks, and fence lines, mow tall grass and waist-high weeds without tangling, even cut brush up to 3 inches thick with optional cutting attachments. And now there's a full line of tow-behind DR trimmer mowers. Choose from models customized for riding mowers, ATVs, or compact tractors. So turn to DR and get the job done right.
Call 1-800-418-1409 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. We'll include details of our special 36-month financing plan that lets you own a DR for as low as $25 a month. Free shipping is now in effect, so call 1-800-418-1409. Online at drtrimmer.com.
DR is professional power done right.
Is the early application of fungicide profitable on corn? Does it really make me money?
One of the things is you're going across the field anyway with a herbicide, probably a post-emergence herbicide. It's easy and cost-effective to throw a fungicide in the tank with that application. Now, early season, we're trying to do two things. We're trying to protect the leaves in the middle of the canopy and gives good stalk quality. There's a lot of good benefits out of that. When you're going through that field, you're harvesting, you're burning fuel by the hour with your combine. If I have to slow down because my stalks aren't standing well, then I'm increasing my cost per acre. If I'm going to 4 miles an hour, I have to slow down suddenly to 2 miles an hour because my stalks aren't standing straight. I just double the cost of fuel invested in harvesting. Nothing to do with yield, but that's direct money out of my pocket. So the value of an early season fungicide is not just the yield increase, but also the increased efficiency you see through the season. So there's a lot of value from that early season application.
Get the roots your crops need by getting Radiate first. Visit lovelandproducts.com/radiate. See your CPS dealer today.
It's time now to head out west with Baxter Black, where apparently he's grabbing both life and the bull by its horns.
Thanks. Galen and his partner Dave loaded their prize bull in Galen's stock trailer, being pulled by Dave's big diesel. They had to rewire the trailer so the lights would work, of course. Mort came along behind him in his old 3/4-ton pickup with no plates and piled with junk. They were headed for the Fort Worth Stock Show. Swinging by the tire store, they found a big lag screw sticking out of Mort's right front tire. Meanwhile, while maneuvering the diesel to gas up, Dave ran over a curb and sliced a sidewall on Galen's trailer. Cost him almost $600 just to get out of town. Somewhere in the Ozarks, Mort's truck began knocking. He checked and they found a dry dipstick. At the next truck stop, they bought a case of oil for good luck. Well, things went smooth till twilight when Dave turned on the lights and the brakes locked up. It took another 2 hours of rewiring to make it work. Well, close to midnight, they took a pit stop to add oil. Well, the old truck wouldn't start back up. The gauges looked good, but it wouldn't catch. They ran the battery down trying to jump it until Galen noticed a little toggle switch. He flipped it, and it started. It had 2 gas tanks, of course. Well, they were running late. Dave was pushing the diesel and making 85 miles an hour. Mort and Galen were keeping up until the big explosion. Smoke filled the cab. It was a miracle Mort stayed on the road. They bailed out and then parked the wreck on the highway and climbed in the diesel with Dave and finally made it to Fort Worth in the middle of the night. Well, the boys were pretty shaky, but they managed to unload the prize bull at the tie-outs and headed for the motel. Next morning, things looked better in the light of day. "Yes, sir," said the optimistic Dave. "We had a few setbacks, but I got a feeling our luck is going to change. You two go feed our blue ribbon bull, and I'll go check us in." Well, the positive attitude was contagious. "Let's go get our star," said Galen, patting Mort on the back. 20 minutes later, Dave returned. He had lost his jaunty demeanor. Unfortunately, he had forgotten to make their entries. This is Baxter Black from out there.
Thanks, Baxter, and you can watch more of his humor online at baxterblack.com. When we come back, we're off to Minnesota for this week's Tractor Tales.
Hi, Tom Parent here for DR Power Equipment. Is your driveway a bumpy road full of potholes, washboard, and ruts? Well, for lots of folks that live in the country, this is a normal ride. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not when you own a DR Power Grader, now available at a new low price. Tow the power grader behind your riding mower, utility tractor, or ATV. With each pass, the power grader loosens, redistributes, and levels surface materials. Potholes and ruts are filled in, washboard is smoothed out. and your resurfaced driveway is ready to roll.
Call 1-800-708-5320 for your free buyer's guide and DVD. You'll learn how you can own a DR power grader for as little as $799.99. Free shipping is now in effect, and with our 6-month at-home trial, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call 1-800-708-5320. Online at drpowergrader.com.
Are you living with slow internet at home? Or maybe no internet at all? Then you need HughesNet Gen 4, high-speed satellite internet. Whether you live out of town or way out of town, HughesNet is available wherever you call home. So you can live where you love and enjoy a great internet connection too. HughesNet features smart technologies to make your online experience better than ever. So go ahead, shop for deals. Learn new things. Share little moments. And stay in touch. Connect to what matters most with HughesNet.
Right now is the perfect time to finally get high-speed internet where you live. HughesNet, America's #1 choice for satellite internet. Call now. For a limited time, standard installation is free. For special offers only in your area, text FAST to 99000.
Time now for Tractor Tales with Machinery Pete, the most trusted name in farm equipment.
Well, welcome back. We're excited to have Machinery Pete join us each week, featuring some of the most unique tractors around the country and the stories behind it. And this week, he shows us a classic from his home state.
Thanks, Tyne. This week on Tractor Tales, we're headed to southeast Minnesota for a classic 1949 Alice Chalmers B. Brian Klaus is proud to have this tractor as part of his collection. His great-grandfather purchased it brand new and put it to work.
This one here, actually my great-grandpa bought this tractor new, and he used it on the spreader that he'd pull the spreader through the barn and used it on the planter, and when he got rid of the cows, he got rid of the tractor, and we ended up talking to the guy that he sold it to probably 6 years ago. He had sold it to a neighbor, and we got it or tracked it down to who he sold it to, and just costed a lot more to get it back than what he had sold it for. Tore it all down and sandblasted it and primed it and painted it, put it all back together, and done some touch-up work on it after his assembled it. Mechanically, when we got it, we didn't have to do a whole lot to it other than fix the steering. The steering on it was pretty well wore out. Keep it in the family. It was, our great-grandpa had bought it new, so hopefully it'll stay in the family for years.
Thanks so much, Greg, and welcome to the program each week. Well, when we come back, we'll check out planting conditions with Mike Hoffman, so don't go anywhere.
Find your next piece of farm equipment with Machinery Pete. Visit and shop on machinerypete.com today with more than 10,000 listings for sale.
Thanks for coming today.
How you doing?
Well, today's going to be pretty easy. I want each of you to grab a 2x8 and cut it. You'll have 2 saws to choose from, a power saw or a hand saw. So which saw did you use?
Power saw. Power saw.
Power saw. You all chose the most powerful tool. Wouldn't it make sense to make the same choice when it comes to your truck?
Absolutely.
This is the 2016 Chevy Silverado. It offers the most powerful engine in its class.
Awesome. I'd say it's the best tool for the job. Right on.
Attention to everyone eligible for Medicare. The Affordable Care Act has added helpful new benefits to your Medicare coverage. You may not realize that there are a host of benefits you may be eligible for, including many useful preventative services that can make a difference in your health. Many benefits come with 0 copays and 0 deductibles. Don't miss out on the coverage you deserve. Call for free now or go to Medicare.com. There is no obligation.
Please call 800-920-6690.
Imagine a lawn vacuum powerful enough to clear the largest lawns, clean as a carpet, and compact enough to hang right on the wall. Hitching a cyclone rake to your riding mower gives you 10 times the lifting power and many times the debris capacity of mowers alone. It cuts overgrown summer lawns down to size in a fraction of the time. When autumn comes, clear the heaviest leaf cover with sitting down ease. Try the Cyclone Rake risk-free for a full year. To learn more, visit CycloneRake.com for your free information kit.
You're going to need me. You're going to need us. All of us. You're going to need our help with your water, your air, your food. You're going to need our determination, our compassion. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Well, we're back here with some viewer photos, and Mike, once again, not a lot of planting progress to talk about this week. Heavy rain in central Clinton County, Iowa, and Chris Bowman says a narrow band of rain really dumped some moisture on them. Just looking at that soil washing out, you can tell how bad it was. He said the system dropped as little as 1/10 of an inch on some of his fields to nearly 2.5 inches on others.
Yeah, that's always the case, unfortunately. It's also a waiting game for farmers in Alabama just waiting to plant. This is Wayne's view, not the view he would like. He says he got stuck Thursday morning. A neighbor pulled him out with another tractor. Once he got unstuck, he was only able to run for about 30 minutes before the rain brought him to a screeching halt. Once again, that seems to be the case in many places.
Not good news.
No.
And it was the calm before the storm in Lexington, Missouri. John Morgan, or more commonly known as my dad, snapped his picture of the sunrise Wednesday just before severe thunderstorms hit. Farmers can't catch a break right now. Corn went in a lightning speed, but now rain continues to slam the area, stalling soybean planting. And Mike Clinton and I were actually in the Kansas City area for a meeting, so we stopped and talked to a farmer, and they said it's beginning to feel a lot like last year. You know, they got all their corn planted, then kind of May hit, and they couldn't get in for a while. So especially in the eastern corn belt, we're seeing that too. When do farmers catch a break?
The pattern isn't changing immediately, unfortunately.
So not next week either?
Probably not, but I think as we head into the end of May and into June, we should get into a warmer weather pattern. If it's any consolation, all indications are a warm summer and a warm fall, which means if you are late planting, you still have some time at the end, hopefully, as long as that works out. But all indications look like a warm summer and a warm fall.
All right, thanks, Mike. Well, we want to hear from you. You can send your pictures or your videos to us at mailbag@usfarmreport.com, or you can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. For all of us at U.S. Farm Report, I'm Tyne Morgan. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to join us again right here next week as we work to build on our tradition. Have a great weekend, everyone.
High-strength steel for high-strength dependability. Chevy Silverado, the official news-gathering vehicle of U.S. Farm Report. U.S. Farm Report is produced and distributed by Farm Journal Broadcast.